you beautiful nerds of the world, Toro at your service, and it's time for another Death Battle reaction video! This time we're having two of anime's greatest bastards ready to throw hands! Literally, like, a lot of hands. So many goddamn hands. You thought I was gonna draw this? You thought I was gonna, like, throw, like, more hands than I need to? I'm not drawing all that, Today, we're having Shigaraki from My Hero Academia versus Mahito from Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's time I pull out the mug. Because let's face it, I know nothing about these two characters. I didn't even know this matchup existed before the Kickstarter, okay? I didn't know who either of the characters were. Well, I was familiar with Shigaraki because I remember watching a little bit of My Hero Academia when it came out, and I remember liking it, actually. I think I stopped watching My Hero Academia when Shigaraki made, like, one of his big introduction. I think it was the school attack. But that's as far as my knowledge of the character goes, and apparently he evolved a lot since that appearance. So I'm kind of curious to see what kind of bullshit he picked up in the later series. And everything I know about Jujutsu Kaisen, it's from Death Battle. In fact, I've heard the only reason I know about Jujutsu Kaisen's existence is because of Death Battle fans talking about Jujutsu Kaisen when they wanted when Gojo versus Makima was the matchup of the time. So everything I know about Jujutsu Kaisen, well, you've seen me react to it. But from the few things I've picked up these last few months, I think I can have an opinion on who would win, I guess. And apparently it's an easy conclusion to make anyway. Everyone and their grandmother has been comparing this matchup to some kind of a Homelander versus Omni-Man 2, where one is, like, obviously way stronger than the other, but the other's a dickhead, so that's fine. It's not necessarily a stomp because of, like, stats or power scaling bullshit or whatever. Apparently it's a stomp of abilities. Because the whole concept of this matchup is that they are both anime villains that can kill people with a simple touch, you know, and they can just instantly kill you by just laying their hands on you. And the reason that Mahito can do this is apparently because he can manipulate the soul of someone, which affects their body as well. And apparently, Shigaraki can resist soul manipulation, so yeah. And apparently Shigaraki has all for one, so he's like top dog of his universe, while Mahito is kind of like a secondary character from what I understand. It sounds clear-cut. It sounds pretty clear-cut for me, but you know, I'm always the one who wants to give the little guys a chance, so I'm curious to see what they both have in store, and I'm just curious to see two psychopaths fighting each other, so yeah, let's just jump right in. By the way, I need a reminder. This has been a running gag for my reactions whenever there's a matchup between characters I haven't seen before in Death Battle. I call this the it-gaff juice. The I don't give a fuck juice. But I need an equivalent for the hot chocolate whenever it's winter, so let me know in the comments if you have an option. Anyway, fight!
Shigaraki versus Mahito.
The symbol of fear versus the human disaster curse.
He's wins.
And I'm Boomstick, and Touch Up to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who will win a death battle! I want to see if everything's recording.
Shimura was just a sweet, shy boy.
Alright, here we go.
But sometimes the hand of fate can't abide sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he
lives in a society. League of Legends and Smash Brothers player.
It wasn't something cool like flight or super strength.
Kennedy suffers from Kennedy's subita.
Well, except for dear old dad. That one was intentional.
Tenko wandered the streets alone, silently begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found belonged to the devil.
All for One, the greatest supervillain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of everyone and everything, and grooming him to one day lead his League of Villains in destroying Hero Society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone who just wants to destroy. Pretty menacing, if not for that dorky ass
Energy
costume.
attacks,
I
physical
get it,
matter.
Hands are his thing, but come on, they just look so dumb and
Citywide
fake.
range.
Oh, those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands from his family that he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by
Wait,
his
but didn't
mentor
he
so that
disintegrate
would
it then?
Never forget his rage.
Anyway.
Okay.
While his use of decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
So, question, like, I guess he hasn't reached to that point yet, but like, theoretically, shouldn't that quirk be able to destroy the entire Earth? Because like, I get it wouldn't be, I get it wouldn't affect like things like the air or water, but like everything on Earth is connected. Like the cities are connected to the Earth. It would reach the Earth, right? So like an entire how is it called? A tectonic, like it would, like if he lay his hand on the ground, like that's a whole tectonic plate going to ash, right? That's like that's already a devastating concept to begin with. But anyway, that's my question. Let's go forward. Let's move on.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master's rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically. He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life, in front of normies.
But they say defeat is the greatest teacher of all. Only through struggle could Shigaraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
My
These
boy!
two rivals, the inheritors of their master's blood feud, would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when All Might and All for One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigaraki stepped up. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight,
Damn.
and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front. Thousands of new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All for One's personal quack, Dr. Ujiko, who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now
Damn.
move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes Intercontinental Ballistic Cruise Punch! Now the new name for my penis. Move over, gigantic Omega Storm. Anyway, it also made a blast so big it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became... Oh shit! More hands!
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence,
Ew.
seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All for One, so what better way than the old man's quirk?
All for One.
There it is.
All for One allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All for One has hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body, and can even act as a spiritual
Like
defense should it be invaded.
some kind of
Vestiges
domain?
quirks like super fast healing, air blast, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All for One's vestige, that means All for One was now
inside.
in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years molding for him to take over.
Shigaraki's entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tanko's grandmother.
Oh, that to mess with All Might. That's
Ah.
some next level hating right there.
He manipulated Shigaraki's entire life, all for one purpose: to create a soul so corrupted it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All for One to take full control.
But All for One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new symbol of hope defeated the new symbol of fear, burying All for One's grudge for good.
All that Shigaraki asked was to be remembered as the heartless destroyer he was raised to be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep inside.
For just that one moment, though, Shiggy got in Deku the only thing he'd been denied his whole life, the one thing his lifelong nihilistic tantrum was really all about. He got a hero who tried to save him. This battle is sponsored by
damn.
Robin Hood Gold.
With Robin Hood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment.
That got me. That kind of got me at the end. So that's okay.
Perks of the high net worth are now available.
That's been a lot to get through. So it's funny that he seems to have his own domain. You know, they have a similar thing. I mean, the whole thing in Jujutsu Kaisen is the domain expansion where they literally they literally manifest their mental world into reality. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny in my opinion. Anyway, can you move on?
Financial LLC member SIP.
There we go. Mahito!
Ever since Cain
Yeah!
killed his brother Abel and wetted his fields with his blood, man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt for one another spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice, which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle?
Well, then you'd have the special grade curse with a patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to
Lives in a society, I guess.
He's no mere mortal,
Names
though,
means
but a
true
cursed
person.
spirit.
Fan of
Innumerable
J.R.R.
spirits exist,
Tolkien.
weaker or
Tolkien,
stronger,
okay.
depending on the amount of anxieties, jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger. Or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being composed of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why you need a Jujutsu sorcerer to come in and Kaizen the shit out of them. They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito was special.
I'll tell you, in fiction there are only 3 places. The US, London, Japan, and the rest.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact,
Nah, I'm kidding. There's a bit of Africa.
More frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by
A lots
the
of
tragic
fame?
meaninglessness of interhuman
A lots of it?
conflict,
I didn't
Mahito
get
is
that,
an
though.
existential nihilist.
I didn't get that
believing
one
in
phrase.
nothing but his own will to power.
Philosophy?
It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter? Really get your steps in.
I've seen
He
that
loves
clip.
to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy considering his curse technique, idol transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control anyone's soul with just a touch, including his own. In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the body share an immutable connection. Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body into literally anything he wants. Like Play-Doh, he can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse users are naturally unharmed by their own ability. Should he touch a human, though, his alterations to their body are instantly fatal.
And since he's attacking your soul, those physical wounds are gonna be impossible
Chapter
to heal.
259.
Isn't directly
How many
fatal,
chapters
the
is
human
there
body
in
won't
that
last more than a few
fucking
moments
manga?
in a transfigured state.
All that with one touch. God, I thought herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable dolls that he can gleefully experiment on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and watch you suffer.
Even more twisted is when he combines 2 transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity, essentially a giant torrent of body horror flesh that he repels at an opponent. Ugh.
Mahito is unbelievably creative with his application of idol transfiguration, and despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a number of different curse techniques, like the Black Flash.
By applying cursed energy within 1 microsecond of an impact with an enemy, space itself will distort, exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully
They censored the mother.
Require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no surprise
No light
that
speed.
Mahito also unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer techniques, the domain expansion.
Oh shit! More hands! A domain is like a barrier of cursed energy, but if you're caught inside, Mahito can use idol transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the ultimate expression of Mahito's absolute control over his victim's body and soul. The only time it ever failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy, Yuji Itadori.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, 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 he also had a curse inside of him.
The king of curses, Sukuna.
Which meant
Okay.
Mahito's ability affected both souls in Yuji's body. Sukuna didn't like that. no surprise, and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the value of human life flew directly in the face of the world that Mahito knew to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering him before going in for the kill.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form, the instant body of distorted killing.
Complete with armored exoskeleton and arm blades, this was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into, a true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last. In a bitter battle of resolve, Yuji won out. In a dog-eat-dog world, there was now a bigger wolf.
So he tucked tail and ran away like a bitch. And what do you know? Life suddenly became a whole lot more meaningful the second it looked like it was about to end.
All that gleeful nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the end.
For him, maybe, but Mahito found a convert in his archenemy. After a battle that wiped out thousands of innocent people, Yuji's youthful spirit was gone. The only thing left that mattered was exorcising this curse.
In a way, that was Mahito's final victory, the destruction of another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees.
God damn. God damn. They went hard on, like, they went hard at the end of both rundown. Jesus Christ. Okay. I haven't seen a lot of things about Shigaraki affect, like, Shigaraki's, like, soul thing. So I kind of want to, I kind of want to go back and rewatch the rundown to give to refresh my memories a bit and come up with a bit of a better conclusion. So I'll see you in a bit when I did this.
Hey, do you see that join button? Yeah, that one.
A join button!
Death Battle Champion. As a champion, you get all sorts of exclusive Death Battle content, like extra videos.
I have that!
And sending us your own matchup ideas. And the
I can do that!
Make even more Death Battle. So thank you for being a champion.
Alright! Alright, prediction time. I only needed to go back on Shigaraki's rundown. And I have my answer. Shigaraki's got this. He's, first, way more powerful than Mahito in terms of, like, raw power. But from what I understood from Shigaraki's rundown, All for One itself, the quirk All for One, the ability to steal quirks, is like, quirks are literally bound to the soul. It's literally a spiritual thing. So it's actually, like, it is tied to the soul. So it literally is a form of soul manipulation in a way. And since and he also resisted. He resisted basically a spirit trying to take over his soul. So that's why I didn't really. That's what I didn't really understood when that's what I didn't really fully grasp when seeing Shigaraki's rundown. Now it's a bit more clear cut that Shigaraki does have like resistances and ways around a person's soul, and I can even imagine him being able to steal Mahito's power altogether, which is freaking terrifying. I like that they both have similar, like, they both seem to have lots of similar abilities, being able to create more hands and literally turning their body into an armor. I would love to see that in the animation. Have like a big fight of big guys in big armor and big armor super form. You know, it's fun. It's fun that Shigaraki has his own domain, even though he can't like do a domain expansion like Mahito. But that's kind of fun. I like this. I like this a lot. Yeah, more power, the ability to literally affect souls and also drain powers and also like resisted his own soul being taken over. My only question is, can he specifically resist idol transformation? Because idol transfiguration, sorry, because once the soul is affected by a Mahito, there's no healing it, you know? So I don't know if his I don't know if Shigaraki's healing factor would be effective. If it would like prevent, but if he can resist his soul being manipulated enough, and since maybe he's more powerful, so maybe he can break out of Mahito's own spiritual influence. So I'm leaning towards Shigaraki, and it's good because it's My Hero Academia, and I would root more for My Hero Academia than Jujutsu Kaisen. Plus, since All for One is about absorbing your spiritual essence, and Mahito is a spiritual essence, and I think that's how he dies too. I think that's how he dies from like the few clips that I've seen. He gets absorbed by like another villain. So I can't see. No, there's something I wanted to say in favor of Mahito. No, there it is. My only question is the only question I have left is, sure, he can absorb parts of an essence, and sure, he can resist his soul being manipulated. But if Mahito can only be killed if all of his, like, by affecting his soul, can Shigaraki fully kill him? I want to believe that yes, but I don't really have a full argument for this. I don't have a full argument for that. And I haven't necessarily seen Shigaraki being able to see Mahito. Because Mahito is kind of a glitch thing where apparently he seems to be invisible to most mortals unless you are specifically trained to see them. So I don't know if Shigaraki can see things that are invisible like this. I'm sure there's a counter I missed, but even then, I'm seeing more advantages for Shigaraki than Mahito. So maybe that means Shigaraki wins. There might be a reason people kept calling it a stop. So I'm gonna trust I'm gonna trust my instinct. I'm gonna go Shigaraki. And with that, let's just jump right in. In 3, 2, 1, click!
Alright, the combatants are set, and we've
run the data for all possibilities. It's time for a death battle! With hands! Oh, I'm excited. Good old human casualty. God, this is well drawn. Ooh. Okay, he can see it.
I'd heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts. My organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring them your head instead?
Fine by me. Let's call this your audition. Sickum.
Fight! Yeah, the no moves! Ooh! Ooh, ooh. Let's go! Alright! Don't use gamer lingo!
Did you actually just say that? God, how lame!
Up! The blade kiss. Ooh! Ah! Ooh! Ah! Ooh!
Audition over. Did I get the part?
Ooh!
Decay!
Damn! Giant fist! Ooh! Ooh!
What a rush!
Ah! Uh-oh. There's the armor. Armor time! Yes! Ooh! Ha! Ooh! Ah! Black Flash! Ooh! Ooh! Ah!
Domain expansion.
There it is! Ah! Oh, this is well done.
I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy is mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're fucked! You're fucked! Oh!
My masterpiece.
Oh, that's right! You can't fight two people at once! There's multiple souls in it! That's right!
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way. Totally random. I hate them for a reason. You grow up.
Let's go!
Hey, Wiz, like a bitch.
With their complex power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories: physical stats, survivability, and their powers.
But first, let's address one thing. Could Shigaraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Yeah, that's
Curse energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigaraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the search quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem
it's the
tracking it.
search
No
quirk.
seeing Mahito
Okay.
wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no
Sorry. Curses are invisible due to existing in on a different spectrum of light than what normal people can see. Extrasensory abilities like Shigaraki's that do not rely on visible light would be
Mahito wouldn't have
unimpeded.
been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster curses
Yeah, Mahito continuously scale to Mai. In Yozoru's construction techniques, due to his status as a special grade disaster curse, but these still would not surpass Shigaraki's strength.
being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Too, considering he could react to
And
light
faster.
While Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw durability, Shigaraki was a lot tougher, and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
However, Mahito is a curse and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idol transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question. Could Shigaraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idol transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Alright.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All For One had collected over all the years, but none that we know of could properly kill a curse. That didn't mean idol transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idol transfiguration. The fact that
Shigaraki survived multiple one-for-all transfer attacks from Deku, which directly attacks the soul and reflect identical damage on the body. Just like Idol Transfiguration, his body evolved, his body evolved to counter these punches automatically.
Didn't mean idol transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of
That
idol
is true. I
transfiguration.
didn't consider
the fact
that.
Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk.
Even if Shigaraki could not target spiritual matter, Nanami states that a curse like Mahito would still die after expanding all of their cursed energy. Given Shigaraki's massive physical advantages, arsenal of abilities, and proven 45-day stamina against Gigantomachia, he easily wins the war of attrition.
Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and have that damage transferred to the Deku in the real world.
Oh,
Mahito maybe made him
damn.
spirit energy, but he still has a physical form. In fact, sorcerers that couldn't naturally target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like everyone else.
Giving Shigaraki the third and final edge. It was a
Like
Idol Transfiguration allowed Mahito to separate parts of his body affected by decay before its effect spreads. However, with Shigaraki's overwhelming speed advantage, he could not do so forever.
everyone else.
giving Shigaraki the third and final edge.
Interesting.
It was a unique duel to the death, but
Okay, Shigaraki was far stronger, had a larger arsenal and array of powers. Vestiges protects from Idol Transfiguration, though this would remove one of his quirks, inferior regeneration. Regeneration made him nearly impossible to kill, though Decay could target his soul and kill him. Okay. Far slower and weaker, couldn't individually target Shigaraki's soul.
Shigaraki the third and final edge. It was a unique duel to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end for the disaster curse.
Nothing else to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigaraki.
God damn it!
Is Tomura Shigaraki.
Alright. God, props to Moro for this animation. I can't believe he was working on this the same, like, he must have worked on this at the same time he finished working on Bowser vs. Eggman. Because, like, what the fuck? Gotta admit, there's not a whole lot, there's a lot of parts in the fight that I didn't understand, but then maybe that might be just me not being so familiar with these characters, meaning that there's like there was so much going on that maybe I didn't understand it at the first glance. I'm gonna need like more viewings to to properly get it. But from the few that I got, it was really well done. There's some, I want to say, some animation mistakes that I've seen here and there when it comes, especially when it comes to Mahito's like proportions and angles and movements. It felt weird, but other than that, I think their powers were really well animated. Again, that's a lot of hands, so mad respect just for that. Immense respect just for that. The amount of hands. So many goddamn hands. What can I also talk about? Oh yeah, so many goddamn. Speaking of hands, Mahito's domain expansion was really well retranslated here. This was a like. I get that they seem to be 3D with a bit of they seem to be 3D hands just reproduced, but it still looks like very faithful to the original move, you know. I do like the banter between the characters. That was really effective. Both characters like reading into each other. First, like Shigaraki trying to recruit him, and then like kind of reading into each other. And of course, the death of Mahito seems pretty faithful to how he dies at the end. But yeah, and again, their rundown at the beginning was really effective. I think it got me hooked emotionally. I got hooked emotionally to Shigaraki. Like it really made me feel for this character, and Mahito's rundown was also really good. This was a really solid episode overall. I'm gonna again like this is my first viewing. I'm gonna need a bit more. I'm gonna need a bit more time to fully appreciate the full fight, to fully appreciate the fight. But for a first view, this is really good. Like props to everyone who's been working on that. Oof. Okay, I almost got spoiled. All right. With that said, let's move on to who's next on Death Battle. Please be something original, something that hasn't been revealed by the Kickstarter. Let me get a new reaction. That's all I want. Oh, sorry. I almost had the reveal without the sound. That would have been awkward. All right, 3, 2, 1, go!
Next time
on Death Battle. Rip and tear until it is done!
Subscribe and join as a member to see more.
Oh, it's time! It's time for the rematch! Okay. A matchup that was announced by the Kickstarter. Okay. That was announced by the Kickstarter. I didn't expect this one to come out so soon. But I guess they're doing it! I guess we're doing Master Chief! The Master Chief versus the Doomslayer. Oh boy! Oh boy, they're back! I am very excited about that. I'm extremely excited. I'm extremely excited about that one because, God, Doom Guy has changed since the last episode. Just like Kratos and Spawn, you know, they needed to come back on the show eventually. And what a return it was. Oh boy. Oh, that is so... Okay. It is time. Sorry, I think I'm running out of things to say that aren't, holy shit, he's back, you know? Anyway, so I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching this reaction. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode. Let me know if you like this reaction. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video to your friends, your families, your foes. Who knows, that might annoy them. If you want to see how I do the fan arts that I use for the thumbnails of those videos, you can watch me live most of the time. Sometimes I throw random streams where I draw these fan arts. So, you know, if you wanna check those out, I invite you to subscribe again so that you don't miss when I do those. You can also join me on Blue Sky, DeviantArt, and that's pretty much it because I don't have Twitter anymore. I finally left this this goddamn cesspool. And with that being said, I think that's pretty much it. So that was Torok at your service, and I'll see you later.